Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Nanette Mackenroth is a certified family health coach. With over 30 years of coaching and leadership combined with a passion for helping families to live healthy, happy lives is a platform of her program, Your Primal Life. It's all about getting back to the way our ancestors lived and ate. It's not about diet, deprivation, counting calories, or spending hours in a gym. She helps parents whose kids aren't thriving due to chronic health conditions such as weight or skin issues, constant colds, ear infections, ADD, food allergies, to name a few. They're frustrated and don't know what to do. Nanette helps them reclaim their family's health. Please welcome Nanette Mackenroth from Your Primal Life. Okay, Nanette, thank you so much for joining us here today and bringing your mastery of health and family health. It's really exciting to talk to you. That is a passion of mine also. As a dad of 2 and a stepdad of another 4, I've got a full load of kids here, and trying to keep them all healthy is definitely high on our priority list. So very into that.
Thank you, Brian.
Yeah,
definitely.
absolutely.
You do have a full load.
We got full load and a bunch of different tastes and stuff. So I'm really interested to hear some of your advice and see what you have to think. We do a pretty good job eating healthy. About, I think, 4 out of the 6 are naturally healthy eaters. They like to eat. So my daughter's ridiculous. She's 7 years old, almost reaching 8 here in a couple of months. She would prefer grilled chicken and spinach and vegetables over just about anything else. So she's a healthy little. My son is McDonald's and Burger King and stuff like this, his favorites, but he sits there and fusses at first, but then he'll eat just about anything. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
Okay. So tell us about your primallife.com and just how you're helping your clients.
Okay. For the most part, I work with parents whose kids aren't thriving due to chronic conditions such as weight or skin issues, constant colds, ear infections, ADD. The list is long. And what I've discovered is that the cure is not as long as the list. And then I also work with women to help them with their health and longevity. And this just came out from working with their kids. And when you get a family to change their diet, it helps everybody, and it helps just about everything as well. So that's pretty much what I do in a nutshell. Okay.
And one thing that interested me on there, you're talking about ADD specifically. Is that is that something people come to a lot with? Because I know that's a very specific problem. People are really very passionate about that. I know my son has Down syndrome. He doesn't have ADD, but he has others where it's very common for kids with Down syndrome to have either intestinal issues or to have obesity. And he's almost 10 years old. He's lean, got little abs and chest muscles and stuff. So I credit that a lot to the way that he eats and the amount of exercise that he does. So I'm wondering with the ADD, how is that? Is that one of the main really passionate people you come into, or what's some of the more specific passionate parents that come to you? What are their concerns or big problems you're helping them solve?
Well, it's really varied because everybody's got something different. I'm working with this mom whose daughter has a pretty bad case of eczema, and she wears long sleeves and long pants because of her skin. And for me, ADD is how I got started on this, because my youngest daughter, had a pretty severe case of ADD. In fact, I had to pull her out of school. Originally, I put her on meds, which was really against my gut instinct. Right. And that didn't last for very long because she's a small child and she lost weight like crazy. I'm like, okay, wow, we're not doing this. So I pulled her out of school, changed her diet, and that's how I helped her get better, and it helped all of us get better. And I can talk more about that later on. But really, once wasn't interested in fixing 3 different meals or 4 different meals for my family, so we all ate what I was feeding her, and it was it helped all of us. So that's how I got a lot of ADD kids that came to me for help, because I was able to do that with my own. And you talked about your son's gut. Mm-hmm. Hippocrates said all disease begins in the gut, and I think that's really a true statement. And if we have an unhealthy gut, that's where you have to start to get that gut right. And there's so many things that you can do to help it. There's so many things you can do on your own. There's probably lots of medical interventions as well, but there's things that you can do as a parent to support that. And then you can get a lot of it a lot of it resolved. I'm not saying that, it's going to be, ADD is going to completely go away, but I can tell you that my daughter's doing great in school, and we have to treat her a little differently. She doesn't fit in the regular box that is the school.
Right.
If she needs to run around and go jump on a trampoline, we have the flexibility to do that, but the diet has really supported her tremendously.
Okay, yeah, I agree completely. As a dad of special needs kids, I know that treat him a little different, but I know that I can tell the difference with him. Look, we're talking about food here. With him, it's as much sleep as anything. If he is off like 30 minutes, 45 minutes of sleep a night, his report comes home the next day very, very differently. So I know with the food we keep he does pretty good. So that's pretty standard. That doesn't change with the sleep. If we have a late night, that makes a big difference. So absolutely, the gut and food has to be in a huge position. So some of the benefits and advantages of raising healthy families, some other ways that manifests. We talked some about the kids in school, especially kids with special needs in school. How about for a typical family? What are some ways or some things that the benefits your clients have seen that they've worked with you for a bit, seen the differences in their families?
Well, I can start with my family again.
Perfect.
I didn't start this with my family until my kids were 9 and 10 years old. So today they're 16 and 17. So I have one who's about to graduate high school and is going to be going off to college. And it took a few years to make the transition, to get everybody on board. But at this point, I am completely confident sending her off to college that she's going to make good choices, because she understands when something that she eats affects her. A lot of us don't, because we're not in tune to our bodies, one. Also, a lot of us have forgotten what it feels like to really feel great, right? Because there's so much that affects the way we eat. And you were talking about your son missing 30 minutes of sleep. What about you? If you miss some sleep, you're off, right?
Absolutely.
You're not firing on all cylinders. So it's the same thing affects all of us. They're just smaller than we are. That really is the only difference. But what I see with the families is, one, that they are teaching their kids how to make these decisions, because you can't make the decisions for them forever. And they're comfortable going out into the world and not getting their feathers ruffled because someone's, well, why don't you eat that, or why can't you do that? Because with my kids in the beginning, that was a real problem. I would send something for them, like a special cookie or a special treat, because I knew there was going to be a birthday party or whatever.
Right.
And I would ask them to try to abstain from that cake. And at first they would say, well, I can't eat it. And then the teacher or the mom, well, why? And they were too young to be able to handle that. So I said, don't say that anymore. Just say, no, thank you. And then the question stops. So it just gives them tools to be able to navigate this on their own. And they're going to feel it. When you get your kids healthy and they do something, like one of my daughters went to a birthday party a few years after we started this, and it was at a resort. So they were serving, virgin pina coladas and cake and all this stuff. And my kid got sick. And I said, well, why do you think that happened, honey? Because you don't eat that kind of stuff, and you don't normally. So they learn to manage themselves, and they don't like the way it makes them feel, because they know what it feels like to feel good.
Yeah, I like that your advice about just saying no, thank you. That keeps it much simpler, and that's a great way for a child like that to have to answer that question, because that's one of the things I saw as being a potential problem, is them having to deal with either peer pressure or answer questions, or have to do stuff in a simple no, thank you moves right along. That's right, because my daughter does not like chocolate. If it offers her a chocolate cake, no, thank you, moves along. That's it. But but if it was something else I told her not to, she'd have to explain that to everybody. That's why I like that. That's great. So I want to get into this, because this is something I think is important. I have been on a health journey for a number of years also. And so I know some of these answers. At least I have some opinions on this. What are some of the myths and like misrepresentation of facts from like the media or the overall food industry that's putting out there, saying that like when they're out there pushing things that they say are healthy, which are not? Or fad diets that pop up. What are some things you're seeing out there right now that are completely wrong, potentially dangerous?
Well, we can start with the USDA food pyramid.
Absolutely.
Right. That came out in 1992, and that is the year that obesity started skyrocketing, and it has not turned back. And if we don't change things, it's going to continue to get worse and worse. So, yeah, that's the big one. But then you've got all the other things, right? Well, don't eat butter. Saturated fat is going to kill you and give you a heart attack. Well, you should eat high carb. You should eat low protein. You should eat, and it's very, very confusing.
Right.
And that's where a lot of people just plain old just get stuck because they don't know where to go. But yeah, there's lots of misinformation. And if you look up, something like I advocate a lower carb diet, not low, but the standard. If you're eating the standard American diet, you're probably eating about 250 to 300 grams of carbs per day, and that is too much for your body to handle. But then people, they look it up and they go, well, this article says that I should be eating high carb, and this. So it's very confusing. So you have to teach people how to read their bodies, learn what's best for their body. And everybody's different too, right? Like in my family, my husband and I usually try to keep ours on the lower side. We don't do that with our kids, of course. They don't need to eat lower carb. So our diets may vary a little bit. I don't cook extra meals, but if I cook something, I may make them some rice, and my husband and I may not eat it. So there's just different steps like that you can do, but it's very, very confusing. And that's where, I think coaches can come in and help to go through all the information and figure out what is going to work for them.
Right. So with your clients, you'd look at each one individually, and would you like some type of testing on them, or have them try different meals, diets out, and see what the effect is? Because I know myself, the lower carb works better for me, also. Mm-hmm. But I also know that other people do much better. They do great eating mainly just fruits and breads and stuff, and completely stay away from meats and proteins. Versus me, I'm exactly the opposite. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I believe that you need your protein, and I'm a big fan of Dr. Gabrielle Lyons. I'm not sure if you know who she is, but she really, her website is great as far as explaining protein and why you need it. And as you age, you need more protein, and if you're active, you need more protein. So I think that, again, the USDA guide for that is too low.
Right.
And same with with fat. Now, I'm not saying you need to be eating a high fat diet, but you do need fat for your brain. My daughter, she gets plenty of fat. I send her with a hot chocolate with MCT oil in it, and it helps her focus, right? So, you have to look at every individual differently. I worked with a lady earlier today who's very fit, very lean, but has a lot of stress and anxiety. So I'm not going to tell her to go on low carbs. She probably needs more fat. She probably needs more downtime, that kind of thing. So.
Okay. I'm with you on that also. And on the, still kind of in the same area, but instead of misinformation from the industry, what about misconceptions that a family would have? So when you have a mom that comes to you and says, I want to do better for my family, but I can't because X, it costs too much. It's going to take too much time. I don't know how to cook. Or what are some things that they come to that you're just able to dispel quickly?
The three big ones are, my family will never go for that. And I wrote a blog on my website that you can refer to on that, because they will, and you just don't tell them. Same kind of like not telling your friends why you're not eating chocolate cake. Don't tell your family that you're making these changes. You can make little changes like get vegetable oil and canola oil out of their diet and replace it with olive oil or animal fats. And the only thing that they might say is, wow, why is this so good? Because it's going to taste better, right? But it's better for them. You can change out your flours. You can change out your sweeteners. There's things you can do without them even knowing it. That's a big one. Another one is, it's too expensive. Mm-hmm. Yes, it's more expensive for sure. But let me tell you, a couple of statistics here. One, America has the highest healthcare cost in the world, right?
Right.
And we have one of the lowest food spends in the world. We spend less on our food than the UK, Canada, Germany, Japan, France, Italy, Brazil. I mean, it goes on and on. So what is that telling you? We're eating crap and then going to the doctors to fix the problems that we're causing by what we're putting into our bodies.
Wow, I did not know about the food cost. I knew about the health cost. I have no idea we're that low spent that low on our food compared to ours. That's could not be more clear than what it's coming from.
Yeah. And then the third one, Brian, is I don't have time. And that is also another valid point. It does take more time because you're not going to be going through, Burger King all the time, or driving through fast food restaurants. But one of my family's favorite fast food meal when we don't have time to cook is we run into our grocery store. The kids will say, well, what's for dinner tonight? when we're rushed. I'll say we're having charcuterie platter tonight. Yay! Everybody loves that. So you go to your grocery store instead of your fast food and grab some grass-fed sausage and some grass-fed cheese and some olives and some pickles and fermented stuff, and boom, you got a great. You can even eat that in the car, right?
What a great idea!
So you just have to plan. You have to be prepared. Sunday is typically my planning day. So
Right.
let's say, for example, I might roast 2 chickens, and that'll be our meal for that night. But then I pick them, I save the big pieces for wraps or whatever, just grab and go.
Mm-hmm.
And the little pieces, I bag them up and freeze them for soups or casseroles. And then I boil the bones and make bone broth, which is great for your gut. So if you've got an unhealthy gut, drink this bone broth or make your soups out of it. And it tastes so much better as well. But so yeah, it takes time, but it also takes planning. And we usually I'll have like a big pot or a bowl of frozen meatballs in the freezer. You can throw 3 or 4 meatballs in a lunchbox and they're thawed by lunch. Yeah, they're cold, but meatballs are good cold. So it's just planning. Protein bars, protein balls. You can call them cake balls if you want to, right? To kids, here have a cake ball. And it's a protein ball and they don't know the difference and it's delicious. So it takes time and it takes money, but you're going to pay for it now or you're going to pay for it in healthcare later, right? So, in lack of work or lack of mobility or whatever, if you're letting your health deteriorate, it's costing you down the road for sure.
Right. Well, I tell you, I've 2 of the 3 I've heard before. And I've never heard the one about or not your suggestions. I mean, of just not telling them. That's brilliant. That's so good to me. My role was okay. We're going to start eating healthier. This is a better version. That's what I would do, and I would get my daughter and some of the other kids are all on board with that. They love just thinking they're eating healthy, especially the girls.
Mm-hmm.
Are all they're all different athletes and in beauty pageants and stuff, so they're all into that. But just not telling them. That's brilliant. That's like the easiest. It's something not to do.
Right.
It's probably the easiest. I absolutely love that one. Oh yeah, that's great. So do you have an example of a family? It might be yours also. We're going to talk about your daughter a little bit. How you've helped your clients like overcome some of the obstacles we just talked about, like how you got them past that and on board with the healthy eating plan where you really saw a result.
Well, an example of the mom that I was working with, her daughter who had the pretty severe case of eczema, as we started to get that under control. And I told her, I said, you don't really, for that, I told her the first thing you need to do is do some elimination, right? Do an elimination diet and just figure out, is it dairy? Is it gluten? Is it grains? Because you really don't know what it is. Maybe it's cruciferous vegetables or maybe it's nightshades. You don't know until you start trying to eliminate some of that stuff. So as she was doing that, her and her husband started losing a bunch of weight. Right. And then their son's an athlete and he started, performing better. He was feeling stronger. And so it really is the same tips and diet kind of tricks can really help so many different conditions that it's going to help everybody. For my husband and me, when we got my daughter on this diet, my husband had type 2 diabetes at the time. And he quickly lost 20 pounds. And now his diabetes is under control. It really is. I mean, he still has to be careful. Intermittent fasting helps with that. There's a lot of things that we do that we don't do to our kids necessarily. And then for me personally, I had Hashimoto's. And I guess I still have it. They say it's remission, that you don't ever not have it. But last time I got tested for my thyroid antibodies, they were 0. So you can't tell me that eating healthy does not have its benefits, right? And people are like, oh, your body's strong, your body is resilient, it can handle this. Kids can eat candy, they'll burn through it. Well, yeah, you can, but eventually it's like the cup gets too full and it starts spilling over. And then that's when you're going to have your chronic conditions, your health problems, your focus problems, your energy problems. It's all going to be too much. So if you just get in the habit of eating the way, we eat the way we eat. And sometimes we'll go to my aunt's house and she's like, I don't know what to feed y'all. We just feed us meat and vegetables, right? It's that easy. I try to tell people to put it through the great-great-grandmother litmus test. Did your great-great-great-grandmother eat it? She wasn't sitting around eating, drinking Gatorade and eating, candy bars. She wasn't. Right. She didn't have access to that. So, but look at how long they lived back then, and look at how healthy they were and strong, right?
Right. So how many steps it is from where the source to where you're actually put it in your mouth. Just keep it simple, basic stuff. Yeah, All right, that's good. And next I just want to talk to you about like your backstory a little bit. And I've already catching glimpses of it, but really like what inspired you to become a coach? We already talked a little bit, I think, it's about your daughter and stuff. You started getting through that, but what progressed from that to actually inspiring you to helping other people?
Yeah, for sure. It all started with us. And at the time, well, my husband and I also own a lighting business, and that's, great. And we do that. And I do the marketing and the inventory and all that. And it really is boring. And I was getting very bored with it. So I started taking classes and listening to, and I just started researching, and I literally researched every diet out there. And just so that I could understand it and speak to it. A funny story, one day my husband came home and I was reading a book on vegan diet. He's like, no, because he's been pretty good about going along there. And he said no on that one. I said, well, I'm just trying to understand it, trying to learn it. But I just fell down this rabbit hole. And one thing that I learned that not many people know, but kids today have a shorter life expectancy than their parents. And that really freaked me out. So 16, 17, 18, life expectancy went down, not by a lot, but it went down, and it has not gone down since World War I.
Wow.
That was the last time life expectancy fell. So there's a problem, right? And then you've got things like the kids. You never saw overweight kids, and kids today, are so overweight, and the Army's having to change their standards because nobody can do pull-ups anymore. And there's a lot of things like that are going on that are just very, very evident of the way that our life is. But I got off on a tangent there. But so I came across the Primal Blueprint. Have you heard of the Primal Blueprint?
Yes, absolutely.
That's Mark Sisson's program. So I started researching that, and that's really when I really started getting it. And I'd already always looked at diet. So he doesn't just talk about diet. So that's where I got my coaching certification, because I like this. It's the whole package. It's nutrition, it's movement, it's mindset, it's sleep, it's stress management, it's getting out in the sun, it's playing with your kids, it's turning off your phones and, enjoying your, play board games with your family. So it's the whole lifestyle. And I just thought that was what I wanted to do. And I did, and I loved it. And I'm so happy that I ended up getting my certification there. Yes. And that's how I got to where I am today. Okay, and it's fun to help people. And especially, at first I started with my friends and family, and in the beginning, I was, given information they didn't want. You know how that is. You get excited about something.
Absolutely.
Like, okay, yeah. Nanette's on another tangent is kind of how that was. So, okay, fine. So we just stuck to it. And then people started noticing and asking questions. Well, how do you get your kids to eat broccoli instead of cookies? I mean, how are you doing it? So all the questions started coming, and that's why, you know what, I'm coaching people anyway. So I might as well just make that a career.
Okay, no, that's great. And kind of segue from that is when people are looking to hire, say a mom is out there and she's wanting to get her family healthier. They say, okay, I'm going to look at, she just realized for the first time that there's family health coaches. She's going to look at hiring somebody like you. What's most important thing they should consider when they're looking at hiring you or hiring a person, or hiring somebody for that service? What's something they should really look at when finding the right person?
I think anytime that you're looking for a coach, particularly for like a health coach type, you need someone who's going to help you learn how to do this so that you can do it for yourself, right?
Right.
And I really even think that in the fitness, if you're going to hire a trainer and work with a trainer every day forever, you're not really learning to be self-sufficient with that or independent with that. And I think you need to learn how to do this yourself. So that's my mission, is to help you learn how to make decisions, learn how to read your family, learn how to figure out what's going to be best for them, and then make those decisions on your own, and learn how to research and who to trust out there, right? Because there's all kinds of crazy information. So I teach people how to do this for themselves so that they don't need me anymore. That's really what I think a good coach is.
Okay, yeah, that's a perfect answer. That's good. So, what are some? If someone's found more information about you and your programs and your philosophy and just what next steps they can take, where should they go? What should they do? Okay,
I have a website. It's yourprimallife.com. So the 3 words, yourprimalandlife.com. And there's tons of. I blog every other week, I send a new blog. I just posted one yesterday on optimizing your vitamin D level. So there's a lot of that kind of information. And there's also 2 ways that you can join my list. One is I have a kitchen purge and restock guide. So it teaches you to get 3 boxes, throw away, donate, and save for later because you're not sure if you really want to get rid of it, because it's hard to get rid of some of your old favorites, and how to restock your kitchen so that you have in there, because the worst time you're going to make a decision, or the worst decision you're going to make, is when you're busy and you don't know what to do, so you're just going to grab what's in your pantry. If you have only stuff that helps your health in your kitchen and your pantry, that's what you're going to grab. So just make it simple that way. So there's that. And then there's also a webinar on there. It's about 45 minutes long, I think. It actually walks you through the whole bit of it, the mindset, the nutrition, the movement. It walks you through all of it. And it can be a bit overwhelming. So depending where you are, if you want to start with just the nutrition part, you could do the kitchen guide, or the webinar walks through all of it. And then I offer a 10-week one-on-one coaching program that we have weekly phone calls, follow-up, documents, information, whatever it is, because everybody's different, so it's not a one-size-fits-all. There's the 10-week program, and I'm working on a group coaching program that I would like to implement, but I don't have that just yet. So there's that, and then there's also I have a 21-day self-paced program that's basically the same information, but it's just coming at you much faster. So there's several ways that you can work with me, but I do recommend look at the website, because there's lots of great information, lots of great tools. I've got the Primal Blueprint food pyramid, the fitness pyramid, all the guides on there that they need to just kind of figure out where to start and what to put in their bodies in the first place.
Okay, now that sounds great. And just from a person is into fitness and studied a lot of nutrition myself also, you're right on you obviously know a lot more than me, but from my limited knowledge, everything that you've said has just been right on. The food pyramid was a big one that as I was going through the process and saw how bad that was, and the reason why it was that way, and it's almost criminal the way that thing was put together and why it was. So definitely dig into that stuff. So I'd really interested to see your pyramid. It's what you're saying. We're right on board with a lot of us I might have picked up from you. We're right in line with our beliefs about health and stuff. And you've had some amazing tips, though. I love the no thank you line, and I really love that just don't tell them they're eating healthy. That's just brilliant, just to throw that in there, because I've done little things like that also, and I've told them, and some like others don't. I'm just not even going to tell them anymore. We would switch out we would do instead of like regular meatballs, I'd do like a really a low fat turkey meatballs. And tell them, turkeys are ugly, I don't want to eat turkey. Then if I haven't told them what spaghetti or tacos, they have no idea. So I think you're right on board with not tell them at all. So, yeah. You
can also throw a little bit of liver in those meatballs, and they'll never know it. And those organ meats are so great for your.
Really, I remember as a kid, I don't know if I'm a long tangent here, but my grandfather had several hundred head of cattle. I had a cattle ranch, and he'd always give us beef. And I remember as a kid having, I remember 2 things specifically growing up eating. One was when I walked downstairs and saw a tongue in the oven. Another time when we had liver, and both those are really negative experiences. But I think if you ground it up and put them in there, you probably would not taste it. Would add some good, fatty deliciousness to it. But I've not had liver since that time.
Yeah.
That's a good try it. It's not bad. Okay, well, I want to thank you so much for being on with us. You've given some great advice, guys. We're going to go check out her website at yourprimallife.com. I'll put links to everything mentioned in the interview today, and some information on Nanette. And so go check out yourprimallife.com. Thank you so much for listening.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.